Finance Committee meeting to order, please. Anybody has a telephone, please turn it off or to silent. Thank you. Tonight, first order of business is, I know you all received them, minutes of the meetings. I'd like to approve them. You all have them. For the record, I'll tell you, I'll just repeat it. 325, 41, 48, 415, 422, and 429. I'll accept the motion to accept.
Motion made.
Motion made, seconded by the chair. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay. Next school of business, we'll be doing Articles 21 through 29. My first question would be, and I should have asked you this before, do we have a total number of what's left in the student support fund?
Did we skip Article 3 and 4? 3 and 9?
I wanted to get these out of the way.
I don't, I can go get it.
No, I just wanted to make sure that we don't,
Add
you know,
something.
recommend more than what's in there. I presume that there's more than,
Approximately 3.8 million.
okay. And this total amount is only like 1.24, with the exception that there was unused funding from previous fiscal year 2026. So before we get into that, my next question would be, of the superintendent.
Yep.
Thank God he says he has the
Yep,
information.
I do.
What was left from fiscal year 2026 that we recommended?
There's $300,000 left in the Belmonte account. There's nothing left in the Veterans Early Learning Center. There is 60 in the middle school, and there is 10 in the high school.
70 for the complex.
Yeah, but they're segregated.
Okay, so just so I can repeat this, so we
Yeah.
have 300K in the Belmonte Middle School.
No, Belmonte STEAM Academy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I do it all the
You do the
time.
same
I might
thing.
have even said it, so.
It was a middle school forever.
There's 0 in the vets,
Correct.
early learning, 60 in the Belmonte Middle School,
Just the middle school.
and 10 in the high school.
Correct.
Okay. So, you know, I mean, the 60,000 and the 10,000, it's just my opinion. I would probably just leave that
Yep.
there. It's a small amount of money and, you know, it's, to start pulling money from here to there on certain articles and offset them. Because we can always come back and do the same thing next year.
Yep.
But
Thank you.
the 300,000 is a big number, so when one of the articles come up, and I think there is one there for
Yep.
300,000, our motion will be to recommend using carryover money from fiscal year 2026 to pay for that warrant article, so that the town meeting knows that it's being funded, but the source of funding is from leftover fiscal 2026 funding. Is
I
everybody?
don't know if you can, Mr. Chairman, I would probably, if you, that's what the intent is of the finance committee, I would probably just make a motion, less the balance of 300,000. In other words, less the balance that's in the account, that's in the segregated account. Because you're not gonna be able to make a motion appropriate from a previous thing, you know what I mean, so.
But they're all individual articles, and we have to vote on them individually. That's the problem.
Well, one of them is gonna be the BSA, so we can get rid of that one right now.
Well, the problem is it's only 150.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay, so that,
Sorry,
excuse me,
sorry
that
about that.
$300,000, Mike,
Yeah.
is that for the Belmonte STEAM Academy?
That 300 is for the Belmonte STEAM
Then
Academy.
what we could do is, we could make a motion to either indefinitely postpone
Yeah.
or something like that.
They're not restricted, even though they say it's a
Yeah,
secret account,
they
they
can
can put
use-
the
they
money.
can put the money
As long
anywhere.
as it meets the criteria for the.
For the stabilization,
Yeah, from
you
the-
know,
Supplemental.
language.
Right.
So on that one there, then maybe what we should do is not recommend that article.
Correct.
I'm trying,
Can I ask one?
yeah,
What if there's
excuse me.
hypothetically, what if there's an overrun on something else that,
It's something that will have to be dealt with on a special town meeting.
what if she already has the money, why can't she move
The
it over?
the superintendent is telling us that this money is in there and hasn't been used.
Is it, there's no way to transfer it to somewhere else?
No.
Or there's no.
It's gonna be,
No.
some- it's gonna
It's
be,
in where it's,
It's gotta be used for what it was appropriated for.
Okay,
Okay. That one would be, the easiest would be to just take that 300,000, put it to Article 27, that's 300,000, regardless of the.
No,
total.
the best thing is what the manager said, he doesn't think you can move the money like that, you know, and since we're not exactly sure of that, if we want to address it tonight, since there's 300,000 in the STEAM Academy, and this was for an additional 300,000, which they don't need the other 300,000, then they can just use that 300,000 for this article.
So, Mr. Chairman, just a suggestion, I think moving forward in the future might be easier if the school department, when they put the article, and we can work together with this.
Yeah.
They put the article together, they should just put one article, and they can put the breakdown in the article itself.
Like we do for,
Correct. Like-
you know, youths and rec.
Right, so that way there you would just say less whatever's
Right.
balance, and then it would just,
Okay.
and then they're gonna move the money where they need it out of those three schools.
okay, because that was, like, we did that the first time and they
And,
changed it
and
to
Mike
this.
and I
They
had
did.
conversation,
They
and
changed
I
it the other
recommended we do it
Yeah.
individually.
we
Okay,
did.
so on that particular article for the Belmonte STEAM, we'll make a recommendation to not recommend,
That one.
and we'll use language that, you know, to use fiscal year 2026 funding will be used to
Mhm.
fund it.
But if the BSA is asking for 150, where's the other 150?
Yeah, that's,
There's
that's,
an article in there for $300,000.
Right, I said that, Kenny, you said no, because that's behavioral specialist implementing funding for 300, and BSA enrichment is for 150.
No, he taught, the superintendent just said there was an article for the Belmonte STEAM Academy. What article is that?
23.
23.
23 is only 150,000.
Right, no, but that's the one for the Belmonte
Well,
Steel.
that's what we're
I'm
talking
saying,
about, yeah.
because you said Belmonte STEAM Academy, it says right here, 23, BSA enrichment. 27 doesn't specify a school, it says behavioral specialist. So that's why I asked if it's just easier to do it that way.
Yeah, the other
Otherwise-
suggestion would be in the future, maybe get a more detailed budget of what they're actually intending to spend the money on, so that you can track what's being used.
I mean,
Sounds like, you know what I
other than
mean?
that, I mean, I'm looking at a surplus of 370,000, saying, why did we approve 370 last year if we didn't use it all?
And the year before, they did the same thing, so in other words,
Yeah.
you had less the amount that wasn't used out of the 500,000, there was only 250,000.
Well, I think the answer to that is that we get the money and we start the program, and it depends what comes in for the program.
Could have
I know
appropriated
that
less
you
too.
have probably the highest need school at the Belmonte STEAM Academy. I would think that you would be able to find a place to use that money. That's just me from the outside looking in, and as a parent in the building.
Okay,
Those kids need stuff.
okay, I don't wanna get off of that, I wanna make sure that we use the previously used, full appropriated funding.
First.
It's what we do everywhere else in the budget. So, that article that we just spoke about.
Mr. Chairman, if I can,
Yes,
so I think the best way to move forward with Article 23 is to vote indefinite postponement. The school department got an appropriation from town meeting last year for the Belmonte STEAM Academy. If it was 370,000 and they have 300,000 left over, they'll just continue on with their programs, whatever they are, and use the continuation of those funds since they've been put into a special fund for them to use for those programs at that school.
okay.
We're
mean, that
we're
makes sense.
getting tied up in
That makes
knots
the most
over,
sense.
And I'll explain it
How
on
we'll
floor
use the
town
money.
meeting.
they'll
that
just
there is-
continue with their
that
programs,
there is
whatever they are.
funding there.
Right, you're
They
not,
use
you're
that
not hampering the program,
Right,
And if the money's already there, I guess that's what, because I would think that if we have a surplus, for lack of a better term, of 370, I would think you put it back and then divvy it
Yeah,
out.
I think the
versus-
only question would
But just
be,
leave it there makes the most sense.
we need to know how it's used, that's the only other thing.
And he would,
Okay.
and he would have to follow,
Yeah.
as we've said,
The guidelines.
the guidelines for the use of those.
Okay, so that's how we'll move forward on that article. We'll
Okay.
IP it, and the funding will be used
Yeah.
from leftover 2026. I'll have to go on the floor of town meeting and mention that. Okay, so that being said, we can start. Article 21, to see if the town of Saugus will vote a sum of money, $100,000, purchase of resources for EL support, after school hours, and tutoring within the school day from the superintendent. Student support reserve fund.
Yep.
For the purpose of supplementing educational programming not by town meeting, excuse me. Oh, God. Not supporting in pursuant to Article 2 of the October 24, 2022 special town meeting, whereas voted by town meeting. The Saugus Public Schools Supplemental Student Support Reserve Fund is hereby incorporated by reference. Said funds shall be transferred to the Special Revenue Fund. Specifically for EL resources and hourly support staff in Article 2, reference above, and is in accordance with MGL, etc. Well, I just wanna make sure, Mike,
Yep.
that, as I ask on every single one of these articles,
Yep.
we are not increasing, the operational budget with this support money.
No.
That none of these positions are gonna slide into the operational budget the following year. Once, you know, this program
Correct.
is fulfilled,
Mhm.
the position is gone, correct?
Yeah, there's not, these would just be hourly
Right.
tutors, so there'd be no position as
Okay.
such, so, yeah.
So therefore, can I have a recommendation to recommend $100,000?
Yeah,
Yes.
To you, to the superintendent,
Mhm.
English language learners,
Yep.
that's what this is for.
Yes,
And my understanding is you have a high Portuguese-speaking population and Creole. So
Yes.
if there is someone that is bilingual in Portuguese and English,
Yeah.
and they are John Q. citizen,
yes,
they would have, they could be brought into the school system to help assist those English language learners? Are there gonna be criteria? Obviously, you do Corey.
I was gonna say they have to do Cory checks, sorry.
So, this is, okay, so you will have criteria,
Yep.
what's the hourly rate, $40 an hour?
It's $40 an hour contractually.
So you're gonna have an aggressive program, or I should
We-
say, to start
Yep.
over the summer,
yeah,
identifying
exactly.
potential candidates?
Yep.
Okay, great, thank you.
Is this gonna be one school?
No, this would be all the schools.
It's all the schools? It's so, you'd have one in each school, two in each
One,
school?
yeah, that's what.
So it'd just be age appropriate? Okay.
Correct, correct.
So can I have a motion for Article 21 in the amount of $100,000, please, to come from the Student Support Stabilization Fund?
Motion to accept,
Motion's been made, seconded by the chair. All those in favor? Aye, opposed?
One no.
Article 22, to see if the town of Saugus will vote a sum of money, $250,000, for supporting our athletic department in offering programming, tutoring, and student study centers for our athletic educational programming, not supplementing if pursuant to Article 2 of the October 24th, 2022 special town meeting, whereas voted by town meeting. The single The Saugus Public Schools Supplemental Support Reserve Fund, Student Support Reserve Fund is hereby incorporated by reference. Said funds shall be transferred to be expended for the purpose stated in the proposal in Article 2 referenced above and in accordance with Mass General Law. And this one here, Mike, is
Yep.
Specifically what will it be doing?
I'm gonna defer to Dr. Scazzarella, because this is one of the ones that she put forward.
This actually includes my band and drama students, 6 through 12, as well as any student athletes, 7 through 12. So that is, that would be between 300 and 500 students having this available to them. And the reason that we're looking at this is, these are the kids that I can require to do their work after school and stay in a study center because I have their participation in athletics or drama and the band. And this will, we're working really hard to focus on academics and raise the scores. And this is a way for me to hold some kids' feet to the fire and accountability. I have there's another one in here for a much less amount for the remainder of the building. But I can't force those students to come after school. This group, this 500 to 600 kids-ish, I can say you don't play, you don't participate in band, you're not going to be in drama if you're not involved in the after-school study centers. There'll be people coordinating it, there'll be specific tutors available, which could be teachers in the building, from outside of the building. The coaches will be there, the drama teacher will be there, the band director. So we're really trying to take, on the high school side of the building in particular, this would be enrichment for the high school. Athletics is a huge part of what students in the high school are involved with, and also drama and band. The middle school has a wonderful enrichment program that involves a lot of other components, but this will also capture that group because we have a middle school drama program, we have a high school drama program, and all of those kids participate in chorus and band. So it's a lot of students, it's about half the building, and it would be a way to really push the importance of the learning and the doing your work and remaining eligible, because for all those things, they have to be eligible academically in order to participate. So we want to give it a try.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? Yes, Steve?
So this is gonna bring back the hockey program?
No,
That is included, well, it's part of supporting programs we're not
How
offering
does the
so
hockey
that
program
our,
have to do with education?
so that
support?
our,
I see it
we
in
can
there.
hold more kids, I hope to keep more kids at the building.
Pardon me?
No, I
It
don't
was
know
in the
how,
article,
but I'm saying, how does a hockey program come with student support services for education?
that's what I'm asking.
Oh, okay, that's what I thought you asked.
Steve?
So 59,000 is included in there for hockey?
Potentially, because if that program is brought back, that then becomes another place for students to be involved, probably 7 through 12. And they also have to be staying after school, doing work, etc. So it just keeps, the more programs we offer, the more involved our students are, the better the building is.
Thank you.
Steve?
I have a few questions. You said this is for like 500 to 600 students, so you can require them. How many of these students want to attend this?
Don't know, we haven't made it mandatory.
They weren't surveyed or anything?
No. This is just going to be part of participating in these programs. Our kids need to get back into the mode of studying, getting their work completed. A lot of things fell by the wayside when kids could work from home, including coming to school doesn't seem to be as important as it once was. So we are trying to change all of that, and to change the culture, we have to do some of these kinds of things. And so if they're participating in these particular programs, they will have to participate in a sort of a study.
So is this extra money being thrown at to help the students because the grades are so bad?
Not necessarily that the grades are so bad, but we're trying to get.
Comparatively
good
to other
work- we're try-
communities.
Probably to 10 years ago. We're trying to get good work habits, good study habits, good work habits, and all those things that are listed here, time management, making sure that they're on time for things, being prepared, that's all part of getting their work done. And, you know, just the change in our attendance policy this year has had kids be much more attentive in class, because they're in school on time for the most part, and they're not going late to classes either, never mind being on time to
Mr.
school.
Chair, I want to add, like, our athletic participation policy is more strict than the MIAA. So the MIAA, if they were to fail 2 classes, they would remain eligible. For Saugus Middle High School, it's 1. So we have that over the students where they're eligible via the MIAA, but not eligible by our handbook. This would, if they got forced to go to some sessions like this, they could regain eligibility within the school.
And this is the first year that you
We
got-
have not had that.
So we have
this-
nothing to
this-
benchmark it against.
We have nothing,
But we did have Saturday.
but that wasn't
I think
necessarily.
this is a great idea. I
So,
think it's an
so
okay.
that was
Oh,
my
absolutely.
question. You know, my question was gonna be after all this conversation here, that in order to encourage kids to apply themselves academically, who are also participating in sports or fine arts or whatever it may be, they have to maintain a certain GPA or whatever it's
They have
called in
to, they have to
high
pass
school now.
every
They
course.
have to pass their courses, whatever they.
Mhm.
So in short, it's forcing them to do well, or at least to try and do well.
And also
Yeah.
improve study habits, because
All
what
they
they,
have, yeah, exactly.
So, Mr. Chairman, so the only question I had, like, we talked about these articles, and one of the concerns when I read it was that it only states athletics. And so we talked about this, and the superintendent agreed that he would expand it to any program that's there. They're talking about it verbally, but it's not actually in the article, I don't think, unless it's been changed.
Can we do a
Let
motion?
me, can I get on my
So,
question?
so I think that's one of the concerns, and I think the other concern and this was an idea that we talked about a year ago,
Yeah.
is that, and I'd like to, hopefully they would implement it, because it seemed like it went over well with some of the school committee members as well as the superintendent, is that one of the things they can proactively do, you can have an after-school program that is geared for kids to give support, right? Just like this would be for kids that have issues or not, but I would encourage them to have staff reach out to kids that even aren't in the program that are struggling and getting reported by teachers to say, hey, they have some C's or D's, to then have the parents contacted and try to aggressively, or whatever, however word you want to use it, initiate getting the parents to sign a form to opt the kids into it. That's what they do at a lot of the private schools. And that way there, now the parent has signed something where the kid would have to be after school. Or implement this during the day, during the free blocks all day. Hire a couple of outside people that are tutoring all day long when there's free blocks open. So, I mean, those are ideas I think that can really have an impact, because if you have an after-school program that you're funding and nobody shows up to it, it's really not effective unless you have, it's the implementation of everything that you do whether you have effectiveness and whether it's run efficiently. But those are just
I
ideas.
do like the idea of having it be part of your participation in the athletic team, or the drama, or the fine arts, because I think the other thing that's gonna do is let the rest of the student body know that it's okay to go get help. You know, it's
To the
okay to raise your
manager's
hand and
point,
say, I
there's
need help.
another article in here called the Academic Development Center, which would run during the school day, would run after school, could be on a Saturday, or just as he was talking about, we would meet as a team and say, bring the parent and say, they need to go to this, we're gonna have a contract for it. We're really pushing and trying to capture that,
Yeah.
So,
because we fight a lot of
Yeah,
outside forces.
So, I mean, I would suggest if the language wasn't, like, the superintendent agreed to change the language when we met.
Yeah.
I would say, you know, that the motion would include
Adding the-
any kind of extracurricular or after-school, or school program, or however language.
Co-curricular,
They
yeah.
think, that they think's appropriate in the motion so that it's part of this and it gives them the ability to expand it beyond just athletics, because if it's just athletics, it almost seems like you're just picking one group out of the whole school population. Just my suggestion, I'm not,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean?
Do we have a budget for the $250,000?
Yes, well, you must not have. We had it
Where it is?
delineated.
Is it
I
on here?
think it's the 1, 2,
There's a
4 page.
coordinator, there are
Right
tutors,
up there.
with how
don't
many
like you
hours we
changing
think
it.
approximately, and then some of the individual additions.
Just add up to 250.
Well, I wouldn't do that, but, you know, so. So this article is basically, the way it's worded is only going towards athletics and stuff.
It should say, it should include band and drama, I'm happy to make that change before it goes to town meeting, that's not an issue to add that in.
Yeah, call it
Because that was the
co-curricular, call it
intention.
co-curricular, athletics and
Yeah, but it
co-curricular.
should, can we do it more than just band and drama?
That's why I said co-curricular.
Yeah.
Do it athletic and other co-curricular activities.
So right on the subject line on proposal to.
Yep.
Athletics department.
And
And
other
other.
co-curricular activities.
3 lines up from the bottom, Mr. Chairman, it says specifically for our athletic programming. How you make that in the
I can
amendments?
make all those
It'd have to be
adjustments,
the
yes.
amendment, they just vote the funding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no problem, I can make all of those adjustments.
So you'll make the changes on the floor of town meeting when this article
Is
comes
that
up?
when it would be
Yes.
proper to do it?
Okay.
Okay. Happy to do that.
Okay, since that's been settled, and that's gonna be taken care of on the floor of town meeting. Cause I'm not really sure if we can add language to an article, I don't think we can. We can't change amounts going up, and I don't think we can change language, but if the maker will do that, then we could vote to recommend. Other than that, it might not get recommended because of
Okay.
the language column.
That's not a problem. I'm wondering if this article and the one, I don't know what number it is.
I'll give you the number in a second. You're
Yeah,
talking
that
about,
asks for the 100,000 for the academic
the
development
20,
center.
Article 28.
Should be put together.
No, it's on the, you can't do that, it's already on here, so let's just
Okay.
address them individually.
Okay.
Okay, so with that being said, can I have a?
I have a question, I have a couple questions still, I've been waiting, sorry. On the treasurer, on the 250,000, if it's not spent, is it accounted for or rolled in? Can it
No,
get?
we just went over that, Stephen, where they have an extra $300,000 that we're not gonna.
I don't know if it was the same thing, I know it was
Yeah,
a
it's
different
the same
article.
thing.
Okay, well,
Because we will find out, as the manager appropriately mentioned,
all right,
last.
I don't have any other questions, go ahead.
Yeah. That's why we're not gonna appropriate the 300,000, because they have 300,000 already. So they'll use that money from fiscal '26 into the article that they requested 300,000.
It just seems like there's a lot of these funds this year, as a result of the fund that was set up. Mr. Manager, based on your comments earlier, it sounds like, I got the sense that this could be way improved. I don't know if like, in your wording, what is your sense? I just wanted your feel on it, because I do respect your opinion on this, but you've made some interesting points, like, it wasn't surveyed or anything, how do you know how much money you need and whatnot?
So I'm pretty frank, everybody knows that, right? So we meet weekly, so we talk about this a lot. Through you, Mr. Chairman, my sense is I'm an operations person, that's what I specialize in, right? That's my expertise. So I look at how to make things efficient and make them effective. And I'm not an educator, but it's like they have an after-school program they implement in the middle of the year now, homework help that they have, correct? And so we've talked about this, so that's great that you have it, and you put it in the paper, and everybody says we did this at the school committee, but it's really not effective or efficient unless you have, if we go and visit there on a Tuesday, and there's only 4 kids in there, and there's 6 tutors that they're using the money for, it's really not effective unless you can capture those kids. And my suggestion to the superintendent, and now to Dr. Scazzarello, is why not use or get the counselors and the teachers to communicate, so that a teacher has somebody that starts struggling right away at the beginning of the year or at the beginning of the semester or term and gets a couple of Cs or a D, that right away they're notifying the council, and the council or the teachers reaching out to a parent and having them sign a form that says that the parents will, your kid may be struggling or could use, we have this program that your child could benefit from. I think most parents would sign the form, maybe not everybody, but you get the parent to sign it. Now the child is required to be after school in that program, or if they're doing it during the free block, he's required to be there. Now you're gonna get a much more bigger participation, and you may actually be able to track some of that progress and be able to come back next year saying this has been crazy successful, blah, blah, blah. But if you have a program and you say we have a program, and then there's 4 people there, kids that come after, and it's the same kids, and they could've went to the teacher that's supposed to stay after, is required to 2 days a week, then how really effective or efficient is the program? And I'm a measurer, you know what I mean, for me, I'm not an educator, but that's like what we've talked about. And I think they're trying to get there, but if that helps at all.
Yeah, so my summary, my personal interpretation is that it's a good idea, but could be some more survey and legwork and advanced work to figure out how much money we need. Whereas just throw money at it and see what happens.
So
I would respectfully disagree, because I think we're jumping 2 feet in. Right, let's jump 2 feet in, instead of waiting, doing surveys, because then now we're another year, and those number of kids in that building may be falling behind or missing out on an opportunity that they could jump on today. If we allocate this money, that we have already allocated this money to the schools in the reserve fund for them to use for things such as this. And I think the team that's here now is, if it doesn't work, they're gonna pivot. They're gonna pivot. You know, and if it's not working after school, Dr. Scazzarella could say, oh shoot, maybe it's supposed to happen during 3rd block when that whole team is off. I don't know, that's just my thoughts on it.
I agree with you, Mark, and I think you raised an interesting point about tracking and trending. And I think that the committee's discussion on last week's meeting about quarterly meetings to track and trend progress on this, where it's in the infancy stage, I think will be effective. I think it's a good idea, and I think your idea is very good, Mr. Manager, about expanding it, not just athletics. But like you said, measuring and tracking and trending it is key to know if there's 4 kids showing up, that's what resonates most with me.
Well, I think, and I don't wanna get too far off the 5.
Yeah, we're really getting into this, you know.
But I think that the important thing for me is someone that looks at this would be, the hope is that they're taking data and looking at it, or the kids that are coming in, there's a profile set up so that you know where they're at and where they're gonna go. If nobody's doing that in the school to look at that data, then they're gonna come back and say, hey, you know what, we need another $1 million, and nobody's gonna know how well it worked, if that makes sense. But this money, and I don't want, this money is money that was put aside, the $4.5 million that has been funded for the pandemic. The pandemic was 5 years ago. So, you know what I'm saying, like, we need to get a plan and get it going, but I don't wanna go.
Yeah, okay, so I'd like to address the article now. I think we've beaten this horse enough, to be honest with you. Everybody understands everything, the schools understand, how the committee feels and, things that the manager has expressed.
I don't understand. I think I didn't understand. Sorry, I thought he summed up well. I thought what he said was important anyway, because I'm not that involved that much outside of this.
Well, I lost my train of thought. Please don't interrupt me again.
Yeah, we'll go with the article.
Waiting for a motion.
Yeah, I'd like to hear if there's a motion to recommend Article 22 in the amount of $250,000.
Motion made.
Motion's made, seconded by the chair. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
One opposed.
2.
Article 23, to see if the Saugus town, got my vision, will vote a sum of money, $150,000 for enrichment programming at the Belmonte STEAM Academy from supplemental student support reserve fund for the purpose of supplementing educational programming, not supplanting, and pursuant to Saugus Public School Supplemental Student Support Reserve Fund is hereby incorporated by reference. Said funds shall be transferred to a special reserve fund specifically for an enrichment program at the Belmonte STEAM Academy to be expended for the purposes stated in the proposal in Article 2, referenced above, and in accordance with MGL.
Motion to IP.
Seconded.
Is this the one that we're IPing?
This is the
No,
one, yeah, this is the,
yes.
this is the Belmonte,
Yes.
which already has funding, yeah.
Yes, this is the one.
Okay, motion's been made to IP, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Article 24, to see if the Saugus Town will vote a sum of money, $150,000, for enrichment programming for Saugus Middle School for the Supplemental Student Support Reserve Fund for the purpose of supplementing educational programming, not supplanting it, pursuant to Article 2 of the October 24, 2022 special town meeting, whereas voted by town meeting. The Saugus Public Schools Supplemental Student Support Reserve Fund is hereby incorporated by reference. Said fund shall be transferred to a special revenue fund specifically for an enrichment program at the Saugus Middle School to be expended for the purpose stated in the proposal in Article 2 referenced above and in accordance with MGL.
I just have a question, am I missing something?
Yep.
There's no proposed fund for this, there's no proposed dollars for this, where the money's going? Proposed allocation?
Yeah,
Where is
it's
it?
on the fourth page.
Am I looking right at it? Oh, okay.
And as you can see, I did ask that it be tightened up and much more academic in focus.
Just not on my.
So you'll see a lot of the programming is very much targeted on academic support. There's summer support, there's gonna be a summer boot camp, there's mentoring
Okay.
opportunities.
Thank you.
You did a couple extra agreements.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep, sorry.
Yeah,
uh, when we put this together, the last paragraph of the original article, and just for the edification of all finance committee members, in order for the Saugus Public Schools to access these funds, the superintendent school committee must, not may, must submit a detailed plan to the Saugus Finance Committee, who will determine that such plans are supplementing current educational programming and not supplanting it. So, I guess the determination for the FinCom is, A, are the plans, you have detailed plans in front of you for this money, and B, is it supplementing and not supplanting the current program? That's in the original vote of town meeting.
I mean, can we tell just by looking at this, if we're just a regular finance committee meeting, I can speak for myself. It looks like it's supplanting.
Well, you'd have to go through their school budget, which I have, and then go through the school budget, and then you go through this. And if it's not in the budget, then it's added to this. So it's pretty cut and dry.
This is all out of the
Correct.
school hours.
It's all outside of
Correct.
7:50 to 2, whatever the time is.
Don't do other schools and districts charge for this on weekends or during the evenings
They
and stuff?
probably do, I'm not, I know,
I
like,
see a lot of daycare bills and school camp bills, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of money.
Yeah, I don't think that's, I don't know if they do or not. A lot of communities have this built into their program.
Well, they used to.
Yeah.
Before the cuts.
And I tried to, there is a proposed scope that goes through the detail of how to be implemented. There's the cost structure broken down on the next page, and you can see the program goals and how it can be measured. On the last page.
There's no more discussion, I make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to accept Article 24, to appropriate $150,000 for the Saugus Middle School supplemental students, from the supplemental student support reserve funds.
Seconded by the chair. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
I have to go back here. We have $300,000 from fiscal year '26. I thought that we were going to do an IP on Article 27.
No.
So where is the other $300,000 gonna come from, since we IP'd the previous one? Can somebody tell me that, please?
Are you in reference to Article 23, Mr. Chairman?
So we just IP'd, Article 23, because there was 150,000 there. That leaves another 150 that we have to make up, because they're sitting on 300,000
But it's all
that
in
was
the
rolled
Belmonte.
over from,
No, she
No.
said,
No, so Mr. Chairman, town meeting voted to authorize the school department 300,000 or 370,000.
They only use 70,000.
They've only used 70,000. So there's no need to give them another 50. They're gonna continue to fund their programs with the remaining 300,000 that's already been voted and appropriated.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But there are articles in here that they were looking for additional funding. So in order to not double up on the funding, I thought we were gonna IP a total of 300,000.
I don't.
No, I think the conversation was to IP Article 23 because it was directly related to the Belmonte STEAM Academy,
Which has the money
which has
left
the
over.
money from last year's appropriation.
Which means that 150,000 of the previous fiscal year is still gonna be there. 150,000.
Well,
That
there's
300,000.
300,000 to
Right.
continue the programs
Right,
as they, whatever the programs are that they're using that money for.
But it'd
So,
be targeted specifically to the Belmonte.
yes, and it remains until those funds are fully expended, like the 60,000 and the 10,000 in the other schools.
right.
Now you're adding to those schools. We're just not adding any additional funds to the Belmonte's program account for those programs.
So in a perfect world, if I was here next year, they would probably be another $150,000 in that account.
No, they would be spending down the 300
Right,
that
they'd
they
be
have.
spending down, but,
There will not be another 150.
No,
You
but-
IP'd that vote.
But what he's saying is if they're asking for 300 today,
Correct.
they have 150, I'm sorry.
There should be 150 left coming back.
We're asking for 150 this year. There's 300 sitting over here. For 2027, we're gonna pull 150,000 out. When we sit here next May, there's gonna be $150,000
okay,
in surplus.
that's what I'm trying to,
There may be.
Yeah.
There
Right.
should be based on what we're.
There may be.
That
We
was the
may
one that
spend
got
the
the big
entire
money.
300,000
That got
in
all
the
the money
upcoming
for
school
everything.
year.
I mean, they could spend it, but
Yes.
looking at everything
Yes.
numbers wise,
Yes.
I just wanna make sure, so that, the town meeting, and everybody knows what's going on there.
That's why, Mr. Chairman, my suggestion would be that they put it on one article and then break it.
In defense of the
between-
superintendent and the
Yeah.
school department, originally they did that, and I thought it was better if they were individual, because that way there we could address every article individually and see
Yeah.
exactly where it was going, or, in other words, this finance committee might have said, no, we don't wanna fund that.
So maybe
okay?
do part A, B, and
But-
C or something.
But, it makes sense to do it the way we do previous articles, and then we could, instead of funding the total amount, we could say we're gonna only fund this much, and the reason is in our recommendation. So, I take, the onus on that, it wasn't the superintendent.
But Mr. Manager, that does align with more how we do appropriate money to the school department anyways. When you do
But
a
it's
lump
supposed to be
sum and then
different.
it's, and then it's
Right.
separated
I think
out.
that the whole idea of this was supposed to be different because I think the idea was we wanna support the schools,
Yeah.
everybody wants us to succeed, that they would ask for a certain amount of money with a detailed budget and a detailed plan, and then when they got, whatever happened with that, they'd come back and explain what happened and if it was successful, and then say, okay, we need additional monies. I think that there's like a little bit of a disconnect, and that's, I think, with all of it, and so we're sort of hopefully get on track, I think, as a team.
Okay, so, now we can move on to Article 25, please. To see if the town of Saugus will vote to, a sum of money, $50,000 for enhancement programming at the Veteran Early Learning Center from the Supplemental Student Support Reserve Fund for the purpose of supplementing educational programming, not supplanting it, pursuant to Article 2 of the October 24, 2022 special town meeting, whereas voted by town meeting, the Saugus Public Schools Supplemental Student Support Reserve Fund is hearing incorporated by reference. Said funds shall be transferred to a special revenue fund specifically for the enhancement program at the Veterans Early Learning Center to be expended for the purpose stated in the proposal in Article 2, referenced above, and in accordance with MGL. This article specifically is addressing what, Mr. Superintendent?
This is the same, but it's for the Veterans Early Learning Center.
Same as the previous.
It's the enrichment for them.
Any questions by the finance committee members? Do I have a motion from anybody? Motion to recommend, seconded by the chair. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Article 26, to see if the Saugus Town will vote a sum of money, $100,000, for supporting our middle and high school students in offering a unified assessment and learning platform for the Supplemental Student Support Reserve Fund for the purpose of supplementing educational programming, not supplanting it, pursuant to Article 2 of the October 24th, 2022 special town meeting. Whereas voted by town meeting, the Saugus Public Schools Supplemental Student Special Revenue Fund specifically for programming at the Saugus Middle High School to be expended for the purpose stated in the proposal in Article 2 referenced above and in accordance with Mass General Law.
Yeah, I just have a couple questions.
Good.
It's an assessment test, not a standardized test, so it's gonna assess the kids. Is that what you're looking for?
It's a normed assessment test, so it would
Okay.
have baselines, benchmarks along the
Okay.
way, improvements.
What's the name of it?
It's IXL.
So, what research or why IXL? I'm just wondering.
We were looking at a lot of them. I reached out to a couple other communities that are using it. They found success with it. I'm also probably gonna get the Iowa testing for grade 3 in reading, if possible. It's somewhere, by some funding source, to get a diagnostic assessment of the
Okay.
reading at grade 3. But we have iReady, we have Dibbles in the elementary schools, where we don't have, right now in the middle high school, they have common assessments, but they're not independent of the teachers or the instructional leaders. They're self-made, or they're from the resources that we have, so they have a potential bias. So we were looking at an independent source to give us data related to how kids are improving. And this would give it to us in English, math, science, and social studies.
So when would the testing be done?
The testing would be done at the beginning of the year and probably quarterly, I think it is.
Okay, and you'd have the baseline at the beginning?
The baseline would go at the beginning and then go
Okay.
through that, and then there'd be a final exit.
Okay.
Yep.
The superintendent, out of the English, math, science, whatever else you said there.
Social studies.
Social
Sorry.
studies, where is the school, the faculty gonna find the most use out of that? Out of those subjects, from the testing, the results, like, that can help them?
I think anybody who's, because what happens is this, they all have the curriculum, because the curriculum is based off the Massachusetts state standards. We give them curriculum resources, and we purchased, using the ESSER funding, high-quality instruction materials. So we have high-quality instruction materials for these disciplines. This would give us basically an independent look at how the students are progressing through each standard. So it would definitely help with the math and English. I would assume, especially the middle school, it would help with the science and the civics and history. It ends, of course, by biology would be biology. I would imagine those standards would be aligned. Pretty much all those subjects would use it. I mean, I'm not sure how much teachers would want to see the improvement on some of it, but it's the reality of we need that data to show progress or lack thereof.
But also identify deficiencies.
Correct, that's why, yeah.
So Mr. Chairman, just, as, to support this, and obviously we want this to work, the thing that I would say as looking at efficiencies would be that it's great that we're gonna do testing, right? But it's the data and what you do with the data that makes a difference, and I think that's what the problem is. And I would support and want to have even an outside data analytics is the most booming thing that goes on now, data analytics. If you could get an outside person to help with some kind of a benchmark and pulling that data in, and then I guess hoping that you can implement how you're gonna target certain cohorts that are a problem. I don't know if that's going on now, I sense that it's not, and I think that's the only way you're gonna be able to see if this works.
Well, I think you need someone who understands what to do with the analytics, who's done this before.
We talked about it.
It's called a teacher.
Yeah,
I think it goes back to the previous article, Mr. Manager.
What's that?
What you said about, I think it goes back to the previous article, data management, data analytics. I mean, you're gonna have something where you can track a trend, see your deficiencies, see where you're good, see where you're bad. You're gonna have something software that will do that for you. The only question that I have, Mr. Superintendent, is that you mentioned something about mass educational, is this tailored IXLs?
IXL will tailor to the state standards. The state standards
State
are.
standards, thank you.
Yeah, the worry is that the IXL, I'm very familiar with it with my kids, that it doesn't turn into like, we're now gonna sell you for every student that can get access it now, and now here's the big bill for now your kids are on your own.
Well, that's
You can do
the
it working at
software
home, and then
group.
4% of the kids use it, and we're paying for a product that nobody uses.
Well, I know technology vendor management, yeah, that happens very easily, but that's a relationship manager and the vendor management here at Town Hall would take care of that, I'm assuming.
That would be the school department.
That would be you
Yep.
guys, dealing directly with the vendor.
Yep, we'd be dealing directly with the vendor.
So it's great that the testing, I think that program
You gotta
can
keep
help
it within
testing,
scope.
but
It's not, it will stay within the scope that's proposed.
Peter?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Superintendent.
Yep.
We spoke several times and met
Yep.
with you.
Yep,
I really wanna see this article amended. I hope I don't have, there should be a norm-reference test. If you're using IXL and it's going against the mass curriculum frameworks, that is a criterion reference test. It's measuring the kids, how they're doing against a particular state standard. I think what parents wanna see in this town is how are our kids measuring up to a non-reference situation, kids across the country. The Iowa test is one great example, it's about $20,000, we went over that. It's too late by middle school and high school. You wanna see where the kids are reading by the 3rd grade and how you can get in there to help them. So I would hope that you would support an amendment to this to allow for a 3rd grade non-reference test, maybe there's something else other than the Iowa, to see where these kids are reading, what their reading level is, and then you could target support to them afterwards. Grades K to 3, learn to read, beyond that, read to learn. And if they can't read, it goes downhill from there. Would you support an amendment on the town meeting floor that would incorporate a non-reference, you say, a unified assessment? Fine, what about a non-reference test by the 3rd grade? Would you support an amendment to that?
To add the Iowa test, grade 3,
I
For
would
reading?
specifically say Iowa, maybe there's something else that we didn't talk about. But yeah, non-reference test, it's about $20,000, we talked about it.
no, yep.
I mean, wouldn't it?
I mean, you're having this great conversation
Yep.
about trying to raise educational attainment to Saugus. You have to find out, dipstick, where these kids are at a certain point. You know,
ERB is another one that's.
it could be the ERP, it's another
So,
non-reference
we can't
test.
change language. Not here, but on the article that
We can't change any language on any warrant articles.
I'm just asking, just like on the.
It can be done on the floor of
Yes.
town meeting.
Yeah.
We can't change amounts, we can't increase
No,
amounts.
but we're gonna indefinitely propose, and I don't know if we can do this, I'm just thinking right now. If we're gonna indefinitely propose Article 23, because there's $300,000 at the Belmonte houses our 2nd and 3rd graders. Can we put some language on, at the amendment, with the indefinite proposal, that some of the money.
No. We can't do that. We can only support the article as written.
You know, in the original law, Mr. Chairman, the original vote of town meetings, to procure and administer non-reference student assessments to identify individual student deficiencies in mathematics and reading. Non-reference is specifically voted by town meeting. I don't believe that this is a non-referenced article. I don't have a problem with it, but I wanna see some non-reference testing for these kids at early elementary.
Well then, maybe you should make that on the floor
Well,
of
I just
town
wanna get a
meeting.
commitment from the
if the superintendent-
I can make that part of the enrichment, because the BSA already has that $300,000, so the money's there. No, so I will agree to do that.
I'm not do it in this article, unless you've got something going with this IDX company that there's a $100,000 proposal before the town meeting, before your department, that you've got something going with them, I don't know that.
No, we just priced it out.
Yeah,
All I did is price it out, that's.
But why not leave that there, Peter, because if we implement it today, we've already missed our 2nd and 3rd graders. Our 2nd and 3rd graders are now in middle school, so why not assess them now?
Second, 3rd graders now.
We'll do both, I mean, if Mike's already done the research on the IDX program, that was
Doesn't
done
sound
now.
like IDX is non-referenced, and that's what town meeting voted. I'll make the amendment, if people
Yeah.
wanna support it, fine, if they don't, that's fine too, but
Yeah, and not to get at the thing, everybody wants us to work,
Yeah.
so we're all in the same family here trying to
Right,
figure it
exactly. No,
out. So I don't want
exactly,
anybody to feel a thing, but we keep referring to this as an enrichment fund. It's not an
No,
enrichment
it's-
fund, it's student support services for kids that fell behind and that were identified as people from the pandemic. The pandemic was 5 years ago. There's been $4.5 million in there for 5 years. Now there's 3.8 million. So I just wanna be on the same team, you know what I mean? Like, we
Yeah,
gotta
so-
figure this out together.
I think we can move this forward with the
Yeah.
motion and go from there.
And then have on Florida. Yes.
I'm sorry, besides the amendment, would that also need a funding article, or would we be using, would you need a funding source?
No,
Yeah, they have it.
we have everything. We're just gonna make a recommendation for the funding. It'll be amended on the floor of town meeting.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a motion on this Article 26
Yes.
to recommend?
Motion is made, seconded by the chair. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No, one no.
Article 27. To see if the town of Saugus will vote a sum of money, $300,000, to provide services for students that have struggled to adjust to the school setting from supplemental student support reserve fund for the purpose of supplementing educational programming, not supplanting it pursuant to Article 2 of October 24th, 2022, special town meeting, whereas voted by town meeting. Saugus Public Schools Supplemental Student Support Reserve Fund is hereby two specialists at the BSA and one at the VELC to be expended for a purpose stated in proposal in Article 2 referenced above and in accordance with Mass General Law. So my first question, so for the general public and
Yep.
myself, what is VELC an acronym for?
Veterans Early Learning Center.
Thank you.
The Velk. The Owls.
Okay, any questions by the committee on this?
To the superintendent, is this,
Yep.
so this 300 grand, this is for 3 consultants?
Basically, we try to, this would be a pilot program to see if we have behavioral specialists would help with some of the disciplinary and emotional and social emotional issues with students at the elementary schools. Because right now, we have assistant principals. I think that the assistant principal model is fine, but it's not necessary, from a disciplinary standpoint, an assistant principal is going to be the law and order and would lay down the judgments. If we could see if this model works better, then this could be a direction that we go. So we wanted to pilot this program. I don't know how it will work, but we have a lot of dysregulated kids, especially in the elementary schools, that don't necessarily need an administrator to rush to them and try to hand down justice. They need a behavior management person, which is not necessarily specific to an educator that is now an administrator.
So I guess my question would be,
Yep.
is where do the guidance counselors fit in?
Mhm.
Okay, and where do we,
They
the wraparound
Yeah,
counselors
yeah,
fit in?
yeah.
I'm just curious how this is, it seems to me it's like adding another layer. Like, I hate to say it like that, but I'm saying,
Well,
we got,
the bigger, and I don't want to cut you, but the bigger, I think this is a great idea,
Yeah.
right? It's a very sport. The worry I have is an operation budgeting person, right?
Correct.
Which,
That's-
that's what I do,
Right.
okay? Is that we're bringing something in under a student support
That's
service
exactly
that's
what I was
limited,
gonna say.
that's sort of gonna turn into a systemic, budget
correct,
issue.
it's not
Are these
sustainable,
positions-
it's a
that was-
one-year thing, it's not
Where it's
sustainable.
right, where it's gonna be, all of a sudden, well, how do we keep these people? We're going 2 different tracks of budgets, that's my only worry.
That was my question,
Yeah.
which I didn't get to
Okay.
ask. But my
Sorry.
question would be, are these 3 positions gonna roll into the operational budget?
No, they're gonna try to keep supplementing, it's gonna be a
Okay.
problem, right, I agree, that's the
Well, that's supplementing the operational budget.
Yeah.
You keep on using funding from this one source of funding, it's not sustainable.
But if it works, we can see if we can integrate that through other efficiencies within the budget itself.
Well, you would have to rework the budget
Correct,
to accommodate that.
correct,
Because I
correct.
can tell you this, in my humble opinion.
Yep,
The Saugus Public Schools budget, operational budget, is unsustainable. It's absolutely unsustainable. I've been saying it for years. The committee has felt that way, and that's why we have a major concern with things of this nature. We support the schools, we support education. It's just that we see this budget growing and growing and growing without reoccurring revenue coming into the town. And that's an important thing.
Who would these people roll up to?
I think Ms. Trainer would be the person who would find the agency or the principals. We'd have to come up with, there's agencies that do this.
What
So
are the qualifications for these people? Like, use behavioral specialists, what is
they would be,
Because this,
Like-
there
Yeah.
will be creating, it seems to me, my
Structural
concern
deficit.
is overlap. Like Vinnie mentioned, guidance counselors.
Right, but right now, all the counselors in the elementary school are tied specifically to student support plans. There are no counselors that are not tied to student meeting.
Behavioral specialists, so what are they?
They would be counselors
Psychol-
they'd be like counselors that would be dealing with crisis management at a time for a kid, whatever the crisis is for a kid. Not a huge calamity, but for the kid, it's a crisis.
I think it's needed, being at least in the Vermont, it's 100%.
It's absolutely,
So then
my
it
only,
probably
my
should be the
only,
operating budget.
correct, my only
But I
concern
think this
is,
is the
That's
way
what
to
I
Great
agree with.
point.
That's my
But I
concern.
think this is probably the way to get it to a point to see,
If it
how do you shape that position to get it into the operating budget?
yeah, as long
Because
as
right
there's something
now,
to track it.
What the
That's
team
all I'm
thinks
saying.
is the answer may not be, it may be some hybrid of that, but that's gonna really be able to tell what you'd have to hire to fill that position.
Well, they had the deans and stuff, right?
Well, when this was first thing I'm reading it saying, this to me is like a dean of discipline type thing, but discipline's not really the
No,
right
it's
word.
No, it's
About that.
specifically
No,
not
not
that
about
this.
that.
So I think it's a
Are
dean
these-
in a
are
different
these
sense of the
outside
word, where it's
people?
Yes,
They're gonna be outside.
Just out-
they're not our employees. They'd be
making sure
outside.
that
You have to have
that random fight doesn't happen in the
They'd
hallway.
be certification.
Exactly.
That just somebody
Would they
to
be through an
roam the
agency?
halls that
Yes.
has the
Okay.
authoritative figure that these kids need right now.
Okay, yes, Steve, go ahead.
Superintendent.
Yep.
I can, I'm a product of the Saugus
Yep.
school system, and I know when I got in trouble, I went to the principal's office.
Yes.
And I went in there a lot, and I
Oh,
got in
yeah.
a lot of trouble.
Yep, oh,
No.
And it was,
Okay.
yeah, seriously.
No,
But, what is the feedback coming to the parents in this program? I know it's so bad now that we have to hire consultants, there's like a million of me.
Yeah.
But, is this program gonna be required to give feedback to the parents? Cause, that's what this all boils down to me, you know what I mean? It's
Right now, I think, and if you ask Mark, because he mentioned it, he's familiar. Right now, there are so many dysregulated elementary school kids that they need crisis management.
Is that what
Understood.
they call it now, dysregulated? Is that the buzzword? That's the salad word?
I've never
Call it
heard
something
that.
else
I've never heard that before in
outside,
my
I
life.
think we know where we're going.
Right.
I'm just,
But we would track to see if this is working by seeing if the students' disciplines get reduced, if their attendance goes up, all those kind of things. And we naturally would be telling the parents that they met with them, and these people would contact parents as well, because they would have not disciplined, but they would have dealt with it.
So,
Yeah,
my
right.
only, this is what my concern is.
Yep.
So what are the principals, the vice principals, the teachers doing about discipline? Like, it seems like you're outsourcing the discipline to someone else.
This is
so much of it probably, it's probably so much of it.
But because there's a difference between, this isn't breaking up two kids at a fight. This isn't.
No, I understand.
This is that dysregulated.
This is long-term, I understand what you're
But it
saying.
seems like there are children who are dysregulated.
No, I'm sorry.
But that are struggling and are in a state of crisis all the time. And
So these are more emotional.
social emotional
That create
issues.
behavioral
Exactly.
And that's
And
why I
they're
asked.
not necessarily, they're not kids who are causing trouble, intentionally. They're just out of control. They're just,
I think this is awesome, I
Great
do,
idea.
I don't want you to take it the wrong way, I think this is awesome, my
Yeah.
wife's a teacher,
Yeah.
I get it. But my concern is
Yeah.
who is watching these people? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep, I
Who
do.
are they reporting to? you mean?
Yes.
They'd be reporting to the
Get really
building
expensive.
principals out of
Okay.
a report.
Okay.
But we would be checking in to see if we would know from feedback from the teachers, from the parents, from the building admin, they would all be giving feedback, because if this doesn't curb the problem, then this isn't a solution. That's why it's a pilot. Because I don't wanna go 8 steps in one direction and have it not work and not be effective.
Well, not to get into,
Yeah.
points well taken by the members, without getting into the administrative end of this
Yeah.
program. It needs to be handled by somebody in
Yeah.
admin
Yep.
on a regular basis.
course.
Not like once a month,
No,
once
no.
every 6 weeks. I mean, they should be following up every week, every 10 days or 2 weeks.
They would probably be touching
Or
base,
whatever.
the building admin will probably be touching base with them on a daily basis.
They really should be making sure, and demanding some kind of a report
Oh,
on
absolutely.
how many students they have, what types of issues are being, they're confronted with and everything.
All that would be documented,
No.
and the principals would really probably be seeing these people on
It's
a
the only
daily
way
basis.
to make a true
Absolutely.
evaluation.
Exactly.
There's no doubt in my mind that we're in a more diverse atmosphere than what's the example we heard from Steve, right? So kids' needs have changed, mental health issues are more prevalent, single-parent households are more prevalent, there's more mental health issues than ever. I think it's a good idea, there's a lot of pilot programs we're looking at tonight. However, I do agree with Mr. Chairman and Mr. Manager about, burgeoning costs going forward. Pilot program to see if it works and assess it and track it and trend it, great. If it works, but the onus is on
Us to figure out where it falls within the budget restrictions that we have.
because,
moving
this has
forward.
been money that's been sitting there, that hasn't been utilized
Correct.
now. We're utilizing.
Okay, do I have a motion on
I'll
this
make a
article?
motion to recommend Article 27.
Motion's been made to recommend, seconded by the chair, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No. Okay, 2 noes.
Okay, Article 28, to see if the town of Saugus, I just want to tell you, every time I read this, I'm like, bad enough I have trouble with my vision.
I'm
But I
gonna-
see Saugus Town, and it should be Town of Saugus.
I'm just gonna say for the record, we should have started with Article
Okay.
3 first, I think.
Yeah, okay, Article 28, to see if the town of Saugus will vote a sum of money, $100,000, for supporting our high school students and offering tutoring and student study centers from the Supplemental Student Support Reserve Fund for the purpose of supplementing educational programming, not supplanting it, pursuant to Article 2 of the October 24th, 2022 special town meeting. Whereas voted by town meeting, the Saugus Public Schools Supplemental Student Support Reserve Fund is hereunto incorporated by reference. Said fund shall be transferred to a special reserve fund specifically for the programming at the Saugus High School to be expended for the purpose stated in the proposal, in Article 2 referenced above and in accordance with MGL.
This one, I'm gonna defer again to Dr. Stegarella.
So this goes to the town manager's point of the other students in the building who are not involved necessarily in those other programs I talked about earlier. If you, I don't know, do they have all the pages? In here is some very specific.
They have the whole package.
Information about how the students
Yeah,
are
they're involved.
identified. There would be contracts, when we meet as a support team to say, you need to be staying after school for English, and if you go to your English teacher one day, you're gonna be assigned to the academic development center. We'd like to set something up during the day, similar to what we already have in place, like learning centers for the special education students, and from what you saw in that ELL, student support, having a center where kids would get support, with their native language and translating. This is the other piece of that for the kids that are not necessarily involved in any activities, but need support during the school day, and not special education students, their grades are not great. You know, again, really trying to focus on the educational component and making sure we have, kids reaching for a high bar, not a low bar, as to what they should be attaining. The diploma has to mean something at the end of the 12 years we have them here. And I don't want to see anybody just getting by with a 65. I think we'd all agree that that's not mastery, a 65. I don't even know if a 75 is mastery. So making an effort, recommending, yeah, that's how I feel. The kids don't love me that much, trust me. Making them accountable and do their work, keep up, get help when they need it, that's the biggest deterrent. They don't seek help when they need it. Yes, sir.
So, how does this, well, is this just for the middle high school?
This is just for that building, yes. the
Okay.
complex.
From what I'm
Yep.
looking at
Yes.
cost. Secondly, is how do we, cause it, just wanna make sure there's no overlap with Article 22.
Well, that article was written to include very specific, groups of students that I can mandate.
Why not?
I can mandate this, but it's going to be through a team meeting, so to speak. A counselor, a couple of teachers, the assistant principal, saying you need to go to this, get the parent involved, hopefully force the issue. Again, there are students in the building I can't force to do anything, but we're going to make an effort.
Well, hopefully our behavioral people can,
Well, I hope so.
but I kid. I'm having trouble understanding it's the general population, all the students. But then Article 22, we're looking at currently right now, and Mr. Manager had made a suggestion. We're looking at athletics, we're looking at
Drama,
Fine.
yeah.
drama.
I could put,
But do you see my point
I
about the
do,
overlap?
we can merge these together. That was kind of what I asked earlier, should we merge these
But
into
not
one
in the form of an
article?
article.
But I can't do it I don't know, can I do that
I
on
mean,
the
that
town
make
meeting floor?
sense?
No.
I mean,
They have to do
does
that.
my point make sense though?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
that's why we talked about doing one article for everything.
You don't need
Originally.
to go back on that.
Yeah, we don't need to rehash that.
Sorry.
I've gone through it 5 times.
We were right on the edge.
Anything, I mean, really.
I know.
How many times am
So
I
now
gonna
what
say
about the
it?
300 and the
Let me,
150?
you know what, maybe I'll write it down and pass it out to
Can you
everybody.
explain the 100 and the 300 and the 150 again?
No.
Article 28, any other questions by the members on Article 28?
No,
I'll make a motion to recommend it.
Motion's been made, chair seconds it, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No, no.
You know.
Article 29, to see if the Saugus town will vote.
I know.
Grammar. I mean, really,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you need bigger pages, Ken.
no, it's not that.
No, I got it back.
Language.
Town of Saugus.
It's poor grammar. To see if the
English.
town of Saugus will vote
You're gonna have to stay out, you're gonna have to get in one of these programs.
$42,000 for elective programming at Saugus High School from the Supplemental Student Support Reserve Fund for the purpose of supplementing educational programming, not supplanting it, pursuant to Article 2 of the October 24th, 2022 special town meeting, whereas voted by town meeting. The Saugus Public School Supplemental Student Support Reserve Fund is hereby incorporated by reference. Said funds shall be transferred to the Special Reserve Fund specifically for an enrichment program at the Saugus Middle School to be expended by the purposes stated in the proposal in Article 2 referenced above and in accordance with MGL.
I'll answer this. So this is specifically for the middle high school and where teachers teach 5 out of 7 classes. So this would enable us on occasion, this is not a guarantee, it's not a regular component, but occasionally I might have 7 Spanish classes. And I only have 5 slots for Spanish to run, because I have one teacher, say, who teaches those 5. This would enable me to ask for a volunteer from the foreign language department if they would like to teach an extra class, one class, 6th block, so that I don't have to then take all those students and sprinkle them and make those other classes gigantic to accommodate the amount of students who want to take the course. We would also like the opportunity, there were some examples in there of classes we'd like to run, but it would have to be an extra class for someone. The AP Business and Finance course has great interest from our students. There's about 25 students who would like to take that class, but I can't run it currently because I don't have any empty slots in my math department to pick up that class. So this enables me to work with the teachers union, as well as if some retired teacher would like to come back and teach a course or a program, we're able to do that, either for a half year or the full year. I'd like to see if it would work, because I'm trying to fill kids' schedules rather than directed studies and any other excuses that they may come up with to not be in class. I'd like to get them solved. So this enables me to do some things without, it doesn't take a job away from anyone, because there'll never be 5 extra classes of Spanish. So there should be no issue with that. I'm not taking a position, but it's 1 or 2 classes here and there to make sure that we're offering enough for our students.
So these are stipends.
I
Well, it would be
call them-
42, I don't know what you call it.
I called them something else.
It basically is,
They're
because
they're
they're getting paid
That's exactly
additional.
what
They get paid, you know,
Yeah, I mean, just, Mr. Chairman, I think this is great.
co-curricular.
I think this is a great idea, but, the only concern, again, is this is really ambitious, and I think this is great. They're talking about AP courses and all this other stuff. I'm not sure that that's what the student support service is about, but I think, this sounds like a great idea.
Well, that's just one example.
But I-
of this manager.
I know, but like, the whole thing is, this is about kids in the pandemic we're trying to bring up, that we've identified as kids that need to close the gap and improve where they're at. And this is target assistance, and this sounds like we're bringing in AP teachers and
No.
and all
Yes.
that. And I'm not against it, I think, but that sounds like a budgetary thing.
Yeah, I
more
mean,
than-
this should have been budgeted, something like this.
No, I think what she was saying is these are examples of classes. She's saying she's going to tear.
But the
I'm
point
not
is
trying to-
they have full-time employees right now that they're gonna give additional pay to provide the service. That's in addition to the operational budget. If, during the budget process, they thought that was a possibility, there should have been accommodations made for that, in my opinion.
Well, I guess the problem is we don't have enough, according to their contracts, they're only teaching 5 periods per day out of the 7.
We can't get involved in that, I wish we could,
I know, but
we can't
but
get
I'm just
involved in
trying to
that.
explain why she
Yeah.
is.
We fully
submitting
understand that, at least I do.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for the manager. All this stuff to me seems like, it's great, AP course, and it says here, additional course for current staff during the school year. So this sounds like a regular course to me. Why don't we just put it in the budget and then you figure it out from there? It just seems like you're getting the money up front, and then you might have demand for, one of these AP business classes. But why not just put it in the budget and we don't have to deal with this? Is this because it's a way to spend the money? Like, what's the deal here? Because this seems like this
I don't-
regular teaching stuff.
I don't know, I mean, the only thing I would say is, I think that, I would say this on a positive thing. I think that with the new school committee, and I think this administration and staff, I wanna give them a lot of credit for, it looks like they put a lot of time into trying to figure out different programs and different things. The only thing I would say is that this is really ambitious, and I know when I implement new things, one thing or two things, it's a lot of work, it takes a lot of consistency of staying with this and follow up and making sure that this is, implemented correctly and all that. This seems like a lot that they're taking on, currently, but I wish, them luck, and I hope this works. I'm here to help.
I'm gonna look at this as like a pilot type program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, if in fact this is a successful program, if it's not in the operational budget, if I'm still on this committee, I would vote against it. It belongs in the operational budget, but as, moving forward in a pilot, it's my opinion, just me alone, looking at this as a pilot program, I would support it to see if it's something that should be built into the operational budget.
And just to add to that, there's, so we're all on the same page, so there's no surprises in a year or two, right? There's limited money in the student support fund, right? And the concern, I think everybody's sort of circling the drain here a little bit on it, is that if this is creating or will create some sort of structural deficit.
Oh,
I'm saying we
absolutely.
should have the jobs, and everybody's gonna say, well, no, the town should fund more of these jobs, but these can't be permanent within this account.
Absolutely. That, and I said that earlier, and everybody's gotta understand that this fund is a one-time source of funding. So these positions absolutely have to be built into the operational budget by attrition or some other way within the operational budget with, you know, money that's available or not, because you can't, you look at this, it's like $1.2 million. If a third of that went into the operational budget, that's $400,000 or $500,000. So, you know, as long as everybody understands that, I know the committee understands that, you know, I could support this, but I really need this to be built into the operational budget. Like the time that we paid for the Chromebooks, because the department didn't allocate any money for Chromebooks, but we couldn't put the students in harm's way. And we paid for something that should have been in the operational budget, and we shouldn't have had to do that. That's how I'm looking at this, Steve.
Last quick question, Superintendent. The advanced placement for business and finance, it sounds like you have demand for that. You guys ever discuss that in your budget to throw that class in there?
Well, it's an additional math class, so what Dr. Scazzarella is saying is if we have 6 math teachers, they each teach 5 classes, we have 30 sections. She's saying that based on class sizes and she might have 31 sections. So if she could find a slot to put it, she would. You know what I'm saying?
You know, last week we had
I said that right.
Superintendent Day, and we
Yeah,
had some
yes.
kids there, and some of them are so highly motivated to learn about civics. And I've talked to the principal about this, that some of these kids would love to take a class on advanced civics or government, something like that. I know you have something now, but some of them are into law and so forth. And the only concern I have is my understanding that the school committee is in the process of negotiating with the teachers on the contract again. And are these stipends being discussed as part of your current negotiations?
As leverage?
And overall, I'm wondering, are you opening up the contract that was already settled to deal with some of the funding for some of this money to go into the salaries and so forth? Is that taking place now?
Which one, what do you?
Well, for example, she's talking, what are you paying, $7,000 or $5,000 for?
For the full year.
There's nothing,
no set
there's nothing in the
amount,
contract,
There's
nor
no
was that
stipends.
ever
This is
proposed.
not to be part of the contract.
It's not, so you're
No.
not, this isn't part of your current ongoing
No.
negotiations?
No, this wasn't,
No.
and this wasn't something that even came up in contract negotiation by any side.
So how much would a class pay for a teacher to take the 6th class? You
For
got
the full year,
$42,000.
I initially suggested $7,000. For a half year, two quarters, 3,500. Because they're just not sitting there with the kids, obviously. They're
Right.
preparing, teaching, et cetera, et cetera. And the way the schedule works, there are days where the teachers have 5 straight classes because of the way the schedule goes. Their prep and their duty may have fallen out. There'll be more time that will be built in for some teachers that will still have days, more than one day, where they have 5 classes in a row and just lunch break. So this is just a way to take care of some of our students, and some of this is for an algebra foundations class. This will be offered to our middle school teachers if they would like to teach an extra class to support our students. And I think some of them would be willing to do that, they've at least mentioned it. It's a way to pilot it out and see what we get.
So
Because we need
good
the
question,
support.
so is there a minimum of the amount of students that you would need to be able to actually implement it? So in other words, if there's only 4 kids, are you still gonna implement
No,
it?
no. That, I wouldn't run a class with 4 kids, I certainly wouldn't do that. No, that would be, then those kids would be going to academic development center or whatever during the school day, not to run an extra. You know, it's gotta be a regular class size.
So is there a policy on how many kids you'd need to do that?
I would say a minimum of 15 to 20.
So none of, you don't have policy, like this is just
I
ideas?
didn't, no, I
Yeah, yeah.
didn't go that far yet.
We'd have to.
We'd have to have something where we, you know.
There'd have to be a minimum
Yes.
in order to even
100%
offer.
agree with
So does the
that.
union have to agree to this, or are they okay, you can have a memorandum of understanding?
I think, I don't know that.
They would have to agree
I
with it.
think it would have to be a side agreement not open the this is not
They
part
have
of the
to agree.
contract.
Any sense of if they will, I mean, could we vote this money and the union can say, no way, we're not gonna do it? Is that possible?
It is, and then the money will just stay there, cause it's reasonable, the amount of money that's budgeted is reasonable for what I'm going to be asking people to do. I've done it at 2 other school districts I've worked in, it was very successful. And a lot of times, the full amount of money appropriated for this particular program wasn't spent. Cause I didn't always have more than a few sections here and there that we needed to cover, or something where we're trying to do, additional support for that algebra foundations, that would be for a recommended group of students to get more support in algebra while they're in algebra 1.
In these other districts that you were in, was it in their operating budget or was it separate money?
It started like this, as an appropriated separate amount of money, and then eventually it moved into the operating budget, because it really is a small amount of money to get
Eventually,
to a
yes.
place you wanna get.
So where was
So-
it supplemented from?
I haven't been in North Andover or Denver in a while, but
So they would supplement separate?
the town meeting in North Andover and the town council or city council in Beverly appropriated at the time $36,000 was the sort of pool of money. And then after a year or 2, it worked into the operating budget, and like I said, that line item didn't always get expended, because I didn't always need all of that to cover.
Okay, anything, does anybody have a motion for Article
Motion
29?
Accept.
Motion made to recommend,
to recommend.
seconded by the chair. All those in favor?
No,
Opposed?
no.
Okay, that takes care of all our warrant articles for the school department. However,
Thank you.
before, we say thank you to the superintendent and his staff. The precinct member from precinct 10 had asked me to ask a question, and in all of the discussions that we had, I totally forgot what it was. So I wanna ask, do you have any additional questions, Peter?
No, I brought it up the last point. It's my understanding that you're in negotiations with the SEA. And I'd like to know, the town manager's recommending a full budget. Are those negotiations based on that recommendation? Is that some of that funding gonna go into new wages? Or I think people wanna know that.
I'm not sure, you'd have to ask, at this point right now, there,
Not sure.
no, I'm not sure. No, I'm not sure, I'm not sure where we are in the process. At this point, they're talking about looking at stipends and seeing where they are. I don't know where it's gonna come. We have a new negotiating team that's gonna be meeting with the union. If it was, it would have to be part, if there were reductions of stipends and a cleanup of the stipends, or increases in the stipends, then naturally that would impact the budget. But it would not increase it all that much in the greater scheme of things.
Well, I
That's
think
why I'm not sure
So I
where we
didn't,
are.
I didn't, you know what I mean, me recommending that amount, I didn't realize that there was like the contract, the wages that were gonna be
Exactly,
part of it.
I can say this,
Yeah.
and we have had conversation, Mike, about this.
Yeah.
The last time that this committee recommended additional funding for the school budget and went to town meeting, we defended it and we were proponents of it. Right after that money was appropriated, they reopened the contract for the teachers, gave them additional money, et cetera, et cetera. Quite frankly, I know I never would have voted for it, probably the committee wouldn't have recommended it, and town meeting may not have recommended it. So I certainly hope that isn't what's going on now, okay? Because that's a slap in the face to the finance committee, to the town meeting, and to the administration, because we were under the impression that all that money was going for the students, what they needed, whether it was programs, additional classes, I don't know, Chromebooks or supplies or whatever. And then when we found out that that contract was reopened, it really hurts, you know, that what we thought we were recommending wasn't. So I certainly hope that that's not what's going on. Yes, Brian?
So I am, part of that new committee. I can assure you, that the contract will not open while I am on that committee until it needs to open when it expires. That's, if it opens, that's weird. But, anyways. it's not gonna
No
open.
more taxes.
No more taxes. And the stipend discussion, I haven't been involved in one yet, I couldn't make the first one. I think a lot of it was around like, you look at some of the stipends and it's just like,
They don't make any
they
sense.
don't make sense, they're not really based on a rate, like an hourly rate. So I think the first pass of those stipend discussions is to just say like, what do we actually have, what are we not using? And then to look at it and go, well, why do you have a coach that's doing the same thing and maybe they got $50 more?
There's some
or
strange
less,
elements
right?
to it,
So those, I think those are the discussions, but I would say like, as far as, and I'll say it publicly, like the hourly rate, that's not up for discussion. Not, at least not with me. It's just more to just say, what do we have and what do we use? At least that's my intention with the stipend discussion.
Thank you, Brian.
And if I may, I'm also on that committee and I was at that first meeting, and that's the only discussions that are happening. We are trying to do a deep dive into those stipends and understand, do they make sense? Is there opportunities to kind of, you know, move things around? But there is no discussion that's happening to that end and what
And the-
this table just
And
discussed.
the, and the hourly rate was 40,
Yeah.
Just to
it's
be
the
completely
40.
transparent, because I think it's important that these meetings happen behind closed doors, which I'd rather have them here. With the discussions, there's been some discussions around, the rentals, right? So I'll tell you that the rental process at the high school is a little bit confusing and not great. So there's been talks about the director for the drama director playing a role as kind of, I'd call him like a rental manager, right? And so we haven't decided how that will work out, but what we found out from people who have rented some of the dance studios, now that we're open to rentals, and when we say dance studios, we're talking about the ones in Saugus, is that there needs to be like a point person to run points, and there needs to be a person there when we have it, so we're trying to figure out how that fits. Where before it's kind of been, we're paying, I think we're paying more than we should because we don't have a good process in place where we're renting today. So hopefully that will level set and we'll figure out a better plan. Whatever we figure out, before we do anything, I think it's important to let you guys know what we're thinking about doing, so that'll happen too.
Okay, thank you.
And that's why I didn't want to speak for them.
Yeah.
No
Okay,
Irish step dance.
Well,
No,
as
you
long as you know the position, my position, and I'm sure the committee shares that, we've spoken about it when you were on this committee, Brian, that I thought that was a real underhanded thing to do. You know, when we thought that all that money was going to the kids because, you know, they needed it for those programs, classes, or reduction in sizes, or whatever it may have been. And then to find that, I know I was pretty disappointed, which is an understatement.
And that's why I didn't want to speak for Brian or Shannon,
Yep.
so.
Okay, excellent. If there's no other questions, I say thank you very much to you guys,
Anything else?
for coming and for everything, and you're all set for town meeting. We do.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, bye, Paul. I mean, it's almost 9 o'clock.
Mr. Chairman, we have to make a motion to adjourn.
No, not yet.
You guys have fun?
Oh,
We got more.
These are the
We
budget.
got more.
okay.
Yeah. A couple little pages, in reference to our discussion earlier today. I wanted to make sure you guys got it as soon as possible.
This just seems overwhelming.
Didn't realize that some of them had been sent by email, but
What is the money? Who's gotta do the work? It just seems like this is gonna be overwhelming for the faculty. Yeah.
a lot of work.
No.
Reach out to me,
I'll
I'll reach out to
I also, position.
Well, I mean, a lot of this is stipends too, though.
I'll put some positions in there that's gonna help. Okay, no problem. And should, thank you for the comment.
You know, they have to start.
Thank you so much.
No, I don't, I didn't even. Sounds like they're really.
Why, what's your wish for?
The schools because now.
You know, we have like maybe another 20 minutes or so before it's 9. Do you wanna cover?
These are easy,
Huh?
these are easy.
We'll go quick.
This is housekeeping stuff.
Okay, so, let's go. The first one, guys, is, Article 3. God, my vision's really Article 3. To see if the town will vote to make supplemental appropriations to be used in conjunction with money appropriated under Article 2 of the 2025 annual town meeting during the current fiscal year and determine whether the money shall be provided by transfer from available funds or to see what other what other action town wishes to take in this matter. We have a handout from Wendy, as usual. And it's showing money going and money coming.
What's this?
So,
So just a quick recap, Mr. Chairman, what are we at, 195,000?
195,000.
That's basically the transfers, out of the total budget for the year, so that's pretty good. And then the other monies are to pay the snow and ice, budget, so we can pay it within the year that we, incurred it, and that's coming from free cash.
The snow and ice is $1,634,000. $166,000 is for our overtime general for snow and ice.
1.8 total.
Total amount is 1.8. So Wendy, our recommendation is for a total of $1,995,800, correct?
Yes. Mr.
Source
Chairman.
of funding is 1.8 from certified free cash. And then 195,800
Interdepartmental
into
transfers.
departmental transfers, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so do I have a motion to recommend for $1,995,800, sources of funding, $195,800 for interdepartmental transfers, and $1,800,000 from certified free cash?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a recommendation to recommend Article 3.
Motion's made, seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Does that mean there has to be new charts? Taking money out of free cash, right?
Yes.
Certified free cash.
New charts.
Nothing's free.
Oh.
Gotta revise.
Okay, next one they have ready is Article 9. Article 9, to see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum of money for purchasing various equipment for town departments, including the payment of costs incidental or related thereto, and to determine whether this appropriation shall be raised by borrowing or otherwise, or to take any other action relative thereto. That's Article 9.
So this, again, this is, every year we purchase the police cruisers. It's 4 police cruisers, and there's also one F-150 pickup for the police department, so that they can utilize that during different events and.
So will they be using the F-150 to pick up all the
Part of it.
mopeds and everything that break in the law?
It's part of it. The other thing is the DPW, looking at a roller, 3 spreaders, a new skid steer, Bobcat, a new trailer, infield rake for the parks, and the water department with a compressor truck. And this is all coming from certified free cash as part of, pay as you go, rather than borrowing.
Okay. I was glad to see the police cruisers on there too. Do I have a motion to recommend?
Motion to recommend.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
What was the amount again?
$724,000.
Thank you. So that's 2 million, now, Mr. Chair, that's 2,500,000 of the free cash, right? That we're gonna be appropriating
Yes, about that, yes.
plus the 1.8.
2524, 2.524.
Oh, yes.
Article 11. To see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum of money for construction and reconstruction of various streets and sidewalks, including the payment of costs incidental or related thereto, to determine whether this appropriation shall be raised by borrowing or otherwise, or to take any other actions relative thereto.
So this is the standard article that we put in every year. Costs are up, so I think this one's a little bit more than we've done in the past, not by much, but as you know, when we do water projects, you can't do the paving with the water money, so you have to have other money that may not be covered by Chapter 90. So that's what this money's for, and to pick up on any other unaccepted roads or issues that come up that may not be Chapter 90 eligible.
Article 11,
And that's from free cash as well.
yep, it's for $500,000, it's from certified free cash. So, do I have a recommendation for Article 11 in the amount of $500,000? Source of funding is certified free cash from 2025.
I'll make a motion to recommend Article 11.
Seconded by the chair, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? $13. To see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum of money for the purpose of designing and constructing improvements to water pipelines, including the payment of costs incidental or related to thereto, to determine whether the appropriation shall be raised by borrowing from the MWRA Local Pipeline Assistance Program or any other source, or otherwise to take any other action relative thereto.
So this is the article we put in every year. As you know, we have a capital plan, long-term plans that we're working off of for the water main replacements as well as the sewer, and this one pertains to the water.
The total amount is $2,121,000. And is this coming from the MWRA?
Mr. Chairman, there's a combination.
Couple
In-
different.
In consultation with bond counsel, This year, they advised that we not limit it to the MWRA local assistance program, but add in any other source. In this particular case, we're asking for the 10-year allocation on the phase 3 with the MWRA and the year 2 allocation on their new program for phase 4, the next 10-year program. But we're actually asking for an additional $250,000 for the design piece, which is not included in the MWRA.
That keeps us ahead so that we're able to do design and be able to.
And where is that 250, the source of funding?
So that will be a general obligation borrowing, which is why bond counsel advised to include the MWRA and any other source under Mass General Law, Chapter 44. So on page 2 of this group is the actual motion that was recommended by bond counsel, and I'm happy to read it for you if you like.
No, that's okay.
Okay. But their recommendation was to not limit the vote to just the MWRA and open other options up to myself if necessary with other borrowing agencies. or funding
Okay,
agencies.
do I have a motion for Article 13 in the amount of $2,121,000, the source of funding being as written by bond counsel?
Motion to recommend.
Motion
Second.
made, seconded by the chair. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Article 14. Article 14, to see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum of money to participate in a community leave service line replacement program to reduce the potential for elevated lead levels at customers' taps. At customer taps, to maintain water quality conditions, including but not limited to the replacement or rehabilitation of water service lines containing lead, and including all designs, engineering.
So this is the, say, make sure that we can get the services.
Yeah,
approved.
construction costs and all other costs incidental or related thereto, to determine whether the appropriation shall be raised to borrow from the MWRA lead service line, replacement program or other source, or otherwise to take any other action relative thereto. Sorry.
No, it's and we do have a grant, and this is the, obviously an appropriation to make sure that we can continue with this and cleaning up the lines on the, both sides. And we're, hopefully we'll get an additional grant, and if we do, then we won't use all the money yet. But we just wanna make sure we have it in place.
So, Mr. Chairman, the vote would be for $200,000 from the July 1 certified free cash for continued lead inventory, to inventory and determine the total number of lead lines that may exist, and the other $4.6 million to $4,620,000 would be an authorization to borrow from the MWRA's lead service line replacement program.
Is that at a 0% by
Yes.
chance?
Yes.
So, and just to remind everybody that part of this is that with our water meter replacement program, where we're actually doing inventory, so the first phase was getting an inventory of the amount of the copper and lead pipes that we thought were out there, and so that now this is sort of moving into the next phase of, okay, now there's a cost involved in replacing these things, and there's grants out there and whatnot, but we wanna make sure that we're able to continue through the program.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman?
yes.
Can I ask questions to you, the manager? Some communities, specifically in Old Malden, you can't close on a house, if you sell your house, unless DPW certifies that your lead pipe has been removed, the water service. Is there any consideration given to requiring that upon transfer of ownership, that a assessment of the pipe and the responsibility not be on the town specifically, but on the homeowner?
You'd probably have to pass some sort of bylaw, but I think one of the things that we're doing, and I think that's what this is all about, is getting the monies in the grant so that you could, because the cost of, to a homeowner and all that, so a lot of this is to try to get the cost of that so that we can replace on both sides with that money so that this kind of takes care of the problem. So one is identify and do the survey so that we identify which pipes are out there that need to be replaced, and then getting the funding out to actually do the work.
Maybe having it tied into the time, if the
Yeah.
town's gonna pick up the cost,
Yeah.
they can pick, any time there's a closing, just like smoke detectors or something.
Yeah, you might have to do like maybe a bylaw
Yeah.
over, more so than a policy.
Okay, can I have a motion to recommend Article 14 in the amount of $4,820,000? Source of funding is $200,000 from the July 1st, 2025 certified free cash, and then $4,620,000 from the MWRA lead service line replacement program.
Mr. Manager, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to recommend Article 14.
Motion's made, seconded by the chair. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Article 14. Article
15.
Article 15. Oh, that's just backup. Yeah, backup information, sorry. Article 15. To see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum of money for the purpose of funding the design and construction of capital improvements to the town sewer system, including the payment of all costs incidental or related thereto, to determine whether the appropriation shall be raised by borrowing from the Massachusetts Clean Water Trust or otherwise, and take any other action relative thereto. And our backup information.
This is on the sewer rehabilitation that we do every year with the capital improvements with the I&I. This is to continue to move forward and to continue with the subsystems. Again, we usually design the 1 year and we do construction the next year.
So the amount is $5,765,000. It's a borrowing article. So can I have a motion to recommend $5,765,000 source of funding is borrowing for Article 15, please, for the sewers?
So moved.
Motion's made, seconded, all those in favor?
That's it.
Aye.
Opposed?
That's all right.
Super, so. This one's for Terry. Next one's for you, Terry.
This one's for me.
I live above the dam, so I'm not too worried. It's the people below.
The lowlanders.
Article 16. To see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum of money for the design and permitting process for the repair, construction of the Griswold Lower Pond Dam and Griswold Pond Dam, including the payment of construction incidental or relative thereto, to determine whether this appropriation shall be raised by borrowing or otherwise, or to take any other action relative thereto.
So what this is the dams, as you know, with state mandates and we're, continue to move forward with being in compliance. We're looking for funding coming from certified free cash in the amount of $500,000 to continue with these long-term capital improvement plans.
I know we have quite a few. How many dams do we have?
Good question.
I know we have
You
quite
might
a
know.
few, and we're responsible for
They're all over, I mean, not just Scotland Hills, but there's.
Yeah, we
no-
have
We have
four in
water
our
streets, yeah.
area.
in Golden Hills.
How many is it in Golden Hills? 4?
Four.
Yeah, that's what.
There's a beaver dam at Trancas Pond.
Did we fix one on Water Street? Didn't the Water Street one done? Oh, is
That's
that a
culvert,
bridge?
just a culvert. Culvert and bridge have different definitions depending on the size, believe it or not. So it
Okay.
depends when you apply for grants.
Yeah,
Another factoid.
Yeah.
just, I don't wanna make any mistakes. Okay, can I have a motion for Article 16 to recommend in the
Motion
amount
made.
of $500,000, source of funding, July 1st, 2025, certified free cash. Motion's made, seconded by the chair. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
You don't want that to Monday?
We got one more left. We might be done.
That's it.
That was it.
That's it.
Yeah, I think
That was it.
I just wanna make sure there's nothing else around.
That's it, that's the
That's
last
it.
one.
Mm-hmm.
Mr.
Motion to
Chairman.
adjourn.
Second.
So, before we adjourn, I'd like to thank everybody. It was a long night, and I appreciate everybody's attendance, effort. I'll go through the rest of the, I'll go through the rest of the warrant and make sure, with Wendy, to make sure we don't have a bunch of other stuff coming down the road. But in the meantime, they have a lot of work at town meeting. And I'll keep you guys informed about our next meeting. And before we adjourn, yes, Peter?
Just a quick question, when you give your report Monday night on these articles, could you just give a total amount of free cash that is being used in your recommendations for Monday night when you give your report?
Yeah, Wendy, I know you got 1,000 things, but could you just put that number so that I have it? And I have no problem
I
with
mean,
saying
free
that.
cash is a big topic this year, so
Right.
I think town meeting should be aware of how much of that free cash is going to be appropriated under your recommendations for Monday night.
And being used appropriately.
Right, appropriately indeed.
With that being said, if there's no other questions, I'd like to thank the manager, Wendy, and everybody. And I'll take a motion to
Motion
adjourn.
to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, seconded by the chair. All those in favor? Opposed?